Hi everybody, I'm Miss Cindy and welcome to Canvas Kids this week. We're going to be painting a llama. So this is what the original one looks like. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is make sure you have your llama going the right direction. I'm going to take a flat brush and I'm going to wet it. And I'm going to take just white paint, not too heavy, and I'm going to paint the entire llama. You do not have to stay in the lines. If you paint nice and lightly where the llama's covered, but you don't have any big clumps of paint. So just paint over the entire llama shape. You can go right over the eyes and the nose, it doesn't matter. But just paint white. You don't have to stay in the lines. If you see any big clumps of paint, just make sure you smooth them out. You don't want any big clumps. If you do it nice and light like this, but cover the whole thing, you won't have any smearing of colors. And you can still see the lines underneath. So we're not hiding the lines, so we know where our llama shape is. So just paint the entire llama. You can skip this blanket part. You don't need to do that part, but it's okay if you go over the line because it won't show up anyway. All right, so just paint the entire llama real quick like that. Remember, if you ever need to stop and let yours dry or catch up, go right ahead. Okay, so my entire llama is painted. So now, next thing we're going to do is the cactus. So we're going to do that part and we're going to do it in green. So use whichever brush will work for you. I'm going to use a round one that's kind of bigger. So we're going to use the green. So just take a little bit of green on your brush and paint your cactus. Try to stay in the line the best you can, but if you go out of it, it's okay. Don't get the flower off the top. That's going to be a different color. All right. Okay. I'm going to outline him first. Kind of go up and down with your paint strokes. So this way, if it has some stripes in it, it's okay, because sometimes the cactus kind of have lines that go up and down anyway. All right. A little bit on the end here. Okay, now that your cactus is done, all right, I'm probably going out of order from what your paper says, but that's okay. I'm going to take a little bit of green and the stripe that is green on your painting, I'm going to go ahead and do while I have the green paint. This is going to be the hardest part to stay in the lines because they're kind of skinnier. And my brush is too big, so I'm going to switch it to a smaller brush. That'll be a little easier. And if you want to do your stripes on the blanket on different colors, you can. Just because I did mine this color doesn't mean you have to, okay? Got the green one done. Now, since I did the green one, I'm going to go ahead and do the yellow one as well. So this is the one that I have as the yellow stripe. That is done. Now the next one, I'm going to take some red, and I'm actually going to go and I'm going to paint the flower on the cactus first. Be careful if your green is dry, you might want to wait. If your green cactus is not dry, you can wait until it is before you paint your flower on top. Okay, so my flower is done. All right, before I go and do the red stripes there, I'm going to make a little bit of pink in the ears. See how it's got a little bit of pink? Very light pink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little bit of red that's already still on my brush, and I'm going to take a little bit of the white paint. See how I'm just using this little section over here to make a little bit of a pink color, just using the little bit of leftover red that I had on my brush already. So when you get a nice pink that you like, shouldn't be too dark, but it's up to you, it's your llama. So I got that color I like. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna turn this around for a minute so I can do it easier. And I'm just going to paint a little bit inside the llama's ear. Just like that. And on this side. Oops. Got a little bigger on this side, but that's all right. Okay. So turn it back around. And now clean my brush off, and now I'm going to go back with the red, and I'm going to put the red stripes on his blanket. Actually, I'm going to turn it sideways again so I can reach it better. So being very careful not to blend those together. You can wait for yours to dry if you want. It'll be a little easier for you that way. Now the middle stripe. Your green mixes together a little bit. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'm just going to wash off the brush and start again with it. So do the 3 stripes on the blanket. Take your time doing it. I just do it quicker because I'm recording this and I don't want you guys to have a really long video. Okay, one more stripe. And if you accidentally go over the lines, don't worry about it. Especially this part. If you go over the lines, nobody will see the line anyway. So they won't know you went over it. so my blanket is almost done. It's got little bitty tassels on it now, right down on the bottom. So you might need to use a skinny brush for it. And just, that's all it is one line, that one, and that one. So it's just 3 little lines. You can make them as close together as you want. If you don't want tassels on yours, don't worry about it. You don't have to have them. I have a hair sticking out of my brush, which is sticking out too long, so it's making little parts stick out further. So I'm going to try this way instead now. It's working a little better. As you can see, mine are getting further apart and bigger as I go along. It's fine though. All right, so I'm going to turn this around this way so I could reach it better. And if you feel comfortable enough that you could think you can paint with a skinny line, you can go ahead and paint the eyes on your llama. Or I gave you wiggle eyes that you can glue on, and I'm actually going to use the wiggle eyes on this one because I didn't on the first one. But first I'm going to take the black paint and I'm going to paint his nose and his mouth before I glue on his eyes. And the reason why I'm doing it first before I do the background is so I can use my hand on the canvas to steady myself. And if I would have painted this blue, I would have an armful of blue paint right now. So go ahead and paint his nose in and his eyes if you want. I am going to glue my eyes in. We're actually going to go back and we're going to do a little bit different of something to the cactus before we continue with the background anyway. Okay. So I'm just going to put a little dot on each of where the eyes go. Oops. And, oh, that one's got a double middle. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have used that one. That's okay. All right, so now that his eyes, his whole face is done now. Okay. So now with the cactus, I am going to use the skinny brush again. And we need to make like the little needles on the cactus. So just take a little bit of black and add it to some green till you make a dark green. You could just do it like this off one little edge. You can do it how you want. We just want to darken the green a little so it shows up when we put the little needle parts on the cactus. So just mix it up till you get a dark green. All right, so just kind of like that. And then just kind of make little like dashes like that to represent the needles on the cactus. And you could just kind of go all over, however many you want. Just to give your cactus some dimension and texture. All right, just like that. Okay. So now, basically, the only part that is left is going to be the entire blue background. So I'm going to use a flat brush. Stick with the smaller one. If you want to use a smaller brush, use whatever size you're most comfortable with. First, you have to paint near the llama. I would start out painting by the llama, kind of going around, whichever brush is easiest. If you use a flat brush, sometimes it's easier. If you use a round brush, some people might do better with that. I'm going to try the flat brush first, but I might have to switch. Yep, I'm going to switch. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of outline the llama and the cactus first, and then it's easier to go back and just paint what's left without getting too close to them and accidentally going over the lines too much. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you go over them a little bit. We all do. I do. Okay. Just kind of like that around there. I'm going to go up higher now and do up here. And when you do the background, if you go over the lines, the blue should hide it, so nobody will know you went over the lines. Alright, I'm going to do around the cactus, but I'm going to turn this so I can reach it a little better. Okay. Just kind of go around the best you can. Like I said, it's not a big deal if you go over the lines a little. It's fine. We all do it. Okay. Especially, this is the trickiest part, is around this flower at the top of the cactus. We could have painted the flower after, but when you paint the red on top of blue that's already there, you risk it showing through. Then our flower probably wouldn't have been as red. Probably would have been more brown looking. And we wanted it pretty red. Now, I'm sure you guys are going to do this neater than I am, just because I am trying to not be real long with the video. So take your time. You don't have to hurry. Okay, I'm going to go up around him some more, or her. Depends on if you wanted your llama to be a boy or a girl. My llama is a boy, I feel. Now, another tricky spot is right around his little hair sticking up on his head. So just be careful with the point of the brush. You don't cover up his little hairs. Okay. All right, that part's done. Other ear. And the next tricky part. For the top of the blanket. All right. take my bigger brush. Oops, where's my bigger one? All right, now I can just fill it in. Now that all that is all traced around, it's a lot easier to finish it up, because I don't have to worry about going over the lines and getting it all over spots I'm not supposed to. All right, so just go ahead and paint the rest of the background in the blue. I would kind of stick to trying to do all your paint strokes up and down too for the background, because if you kind of go all over it, you see lines, and it looks better if you just kind of stick to one direction. Of course, you can't do that when you're outlining them, but it's good. Okay. And when you do this background part, you don't have to worry about if you painted it too thick, because that's the last step, and you won't get it smeared together with the other colors since it's the last part. All right, let me turn it around so I can reach the next part better. And you can always feel free to turn your canvas around like I do. I just find I can reach it better, and then I can paint it at those angles a little better. Okay, he is finished. If you see any spots you missed, just go ahead and go back and touch them up a little bit. All right, there you go. It came up pretty good. Don't forget to put your initials on it down at the corner, or however you want. All right, and I'll see you next week for next week's painting. Thanks for coming.